Most guys think that they have to constantly eat less and less and eat as little as possible to lose weight and then maintain that weight loss. But in reality, that is far from the truth. It's not sustainable, it's unrealistic, and you don't have to do that. So today we're going to be talking about how you can lose 10 plus pounds while eating more, how my client did this. He's lost about 13 pounds in the past 3 months and is eating more now than he used to before he started the program. So that's all what we're talking about today, talking about the exact steps that I've taken him through to do this, to improve his metabolism, to get this consistent fat loss and help him become strong and confident again with being able to do this and in his body. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Little bit of a backstory here on him. So this guy, he's a Christian leader in the ministry space, and he's in his 60s, works quite a bit. He travels quite a bit as well, and obviously within this, he's solid in his faith. But he admitted when he started that he is his own worst enemy when it comes to fitness and staying fit and meeting his goals. And part of that is him in the past not committing and sticking with his plan and his goals long term. And he'd do something extreme, he would cut the calories and then eventually he would fall off because it just wasn't sustainable and he couldn't maintain it for the long term. So, with all that being said, he came to me. Part of the issue was high blood pressure. Obviously, he wanted to lose some weight, but he had high blood pressure and he wanted to be strong again. He wanted to be strong for his wife, for his kids, for his grandkids. He wanted to be able to play with his grandkids. And with all that being said, he, like I said earlier, he's tried different things in the past, cutting the carbs, doing extreme things, but nothing was able to stick. So, with that being said, when he came and started the program, his metabolism was the first place that we started. I knew we had to get him to a place where we could work with his body rather than against it. Because when he came to me, he was eating very little calories and his body was adapted to those low calories that he was eating for a long period of time. I've talked about this in different videos in the past. I've got a video on metabolic adaptation, and the whole kind of premise of that is that your body adapts to what you throw at it. So if you eat 1,500 calories a day for the rest of your life, you're not going to continue to lose weight for the rest of your life, right? It wouldn't be possible. Your body is eventually going to adapt to those calories and eventually you will stop losing weight. And so that's where we started is his metabolism. He was eating too little for too long. So what we did was we started increasing his calories strategically, focusing on protein and nutrient dense foods to do this. Focusing on that protein will almost automatically help with your metabolism because protein burns more calories when compared to fats or carbs being digested. And so just eating more protein is going to help bump up that metabolism a little bit, bump up the TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. And so we went with his calories. We went from about 1,800 calories from the start to about 2,700 calories where he was maintaining his weight at. So through that process, yes, he did gain about 2 pounds, but keep in mind with that much more extra calories, how much more water you can absorb. And so most, if not all of that weight was water weight. And I'm sure during that time also, because we focused on strength training, that he built some muscle as well. We didn't focus on cardio. We focused on strength training. We focused on getting him strong. We focused on having him feel his best. What does it look like to feel his best? So, this is where we started. And then also alongside of this, we focused on his habits with his sleep, his stress, recovery, all those things. We got those to a place where they were dialed in. And with this is all to have the idea of how can we get your body to a place of wanting to work with you rather than against you, right? Like eating low calories It's hard to go out and eat with friends. It's not sustainable. It's hard to lose weight doing that. So the whole focus here is to get your body to a place where we're working with it rather than against it. So that is the more nutrition side of things. Now, on the training side of things, I mentioned strength training. We did 3 full body workouts per week. Nothing crazy. They were about 45 minutes long. No fancy equipment. He just goes to the gym and mostly dumbbells, some barbells, stuff in there, maybe a little bit of cables in there, but really focused on the strength side of things. Threw in some mobility to work on his movement quality. As you age, you really want to make sure you're able to move well, not just be strong, but to move well and feel good as well. Keep those aches and pains at bay. And then with that, focusing on steps as well. Steps are very underrated when it comes to fat loss. Being consistent, getting your daily steps in. So for him, this looked like slowly increasing those. We got to somewhere around that 8,000 mark and kind of maintain that. And that doesn't take as much as you may think. Obviously, if you are at 3,000 right now, then yes, it's going to take some work to get up to that point. But what I want you to keep in mind is this is over a process. This was not all at once. This was strategically increasing these numbers and these metrics over time. And then alongside of that, we didn't chase soreness in the gym. We didn't chase trying to go as hard as he could every session. We paid attention to his recovery and we focused on incremental changes and chasing consistency rather than these big perfection workouts or anything. No, we chase consistency. So that's the training side of things. And alongside of that, a big piece that a lot of people miss out on is the accountability in making adjustments. So with him, we had weekly check-in calls. Now, this was not just, his plan on paper, stick to it, go have fun with it. This was, hey, every week reviewing what has worked, what hasn't worked, and what changes do we need to make in this. And then keeping him accountable throughout the week during this time. So that is kind of the phase one, the foundational phase of my program that I take all my clients through is working on all of those things, the foundations to get people to where they're working with their body rather than against it, building strength, building their metabolism, feeling good, getting strong, all the habits, the mindset. How can we keep Christ at the center of it all? And so once you have those, it makes everything else so much easier. Because think about now, if you are at 2,700 calories versus 17 or 1,800 calories, how much easier it will be to go out to eat and not worry about gaining weight because of that one meal or going on a trip and traveling. It's so much easier to make things work, especially on the nutrition side, when you don't have to worry about sticking to such a strict diet and a strict calorie zone. So, with that being said, let's move on to phase two here. This is the fat loss phase. And this is currently where we're at right now with him. The story isn't over. We're still continuing working with things and doing this. So, with the phase two here, the fat loss phase, on the training side of things, we didn't change anything. We're still doing 3 full body strength training sessions per week. And honestly, he's missed some. He hasn't been perfect with this, but we've done what we can and we've been doing full body strength training sessions. And with this, again, we just keep a good eye on his steps and make sure he's crushing those as well. So in the past, when we were building up to this, we just kind of said, hey, hit your steps, not really worry about it a whole lot. But during this fat loss phase, we really want to make sure that he's crushing these step goals. And then from there, the nutrition side of things. Now that we're at a good place with his metabolism and his body is in a good place to work with himself rather than against himself, now we can lose fat. So this process took a good 3 months though. The process of building his metabolism up. Again, this was not overnight at all. And think about 17 or 1,800 calories with a 250-pound guy. That is very little calories. And so it took time to get him up to the place where he was at a good maintenance calories. So now that he's eating more, he's got way more energy, he's stronger, and he's able to go and travel with his family without having to worry about gaining a whole bunch of weight because, maybe he has to eat a couple of meals that aren't ideal while he's traveling. There's a little bit of room for that with those 2,700 calories. So, with that being said, what we did was we just brought him down to about 2,200 calories to be in a calorie deficit now. Keep in mind, we started lower than that. He was at 17 or 1,800 calories maintaining his weight before we started. Now we're at 2,200 calories and losing weight. So, when you do this, you want to make sure that you're keeping your protein high. It's super, super common that when you lower your calories, protein naturally comes down as well. But the reality is, you need to keep protein high because now you're in a calorie deficit, you're losing weight, and you don't want to lose your muscle. So if you keep your protein high, that's going to help your body maintain the muscle. So high emphasis on protein. And then we also want to make sure that he's got a good plan for his meals. A lot of times this looks like pre-planning, having 5 to 10 meals on rotation. What does it look like? What is going to be consistent for you? What are you going to be able to count on to know, hey, if I eat those meals, I'm going to be making progress towards my goals. So that's what we focused on the nutrition side of things. And then on the recovery side of things, this is another big area when it comes to being in a deficit, being in a fat loss phase, is paying attention to the recovery. Again, making sure hydration is going well, his sleep is going well, prioritizing those things because the more stress you have on your body, the harder it will make it to lose fat and lose weight. So that's the recovery side of things. And there's been studies done on this too, is the more stress you have, the more muscle you are going to lose and the less fat you are going to lose. The opposite of what we want to do. We want to maintain that muscle and lose the fat. And then kind of looking into the travel side of things. Keep in mind with all this that he has traveled about 1 week out of every month for the past 3 months. So he's traveled about 3 weeks over the past 3 months and has still lost 13 pounds over these 3 months. So that's a little more than a pound a week, which is ideal. That's right where we want to be, right where it's sustainable, it's not too much, and it's right where we want to be. And again, with all this, he hasn't been perfect, but it's been the consistency. Week after week, being consistent of not falling totally off, but being consistent with absolutely all these things, all these areas. Again, not being perfect in every area, but being consistent in every area. So there have been weeks where it hasn't been ideal, but he'll send me a text or I'll send him a text. Hey, how's it going? And then on our check-in call, getting back on track. What do we need to do to get back on track? So just kind of keeping those small adjustments, always getting back on track. So with all that to say, the biggest takeaways with all of this is number one, you need to be consistent to do this. Number two, the metabolism is important. Your metabolism can make it easier or harder on you to lose the fat and keep it off forever that you want to lose, that weight that you want to lose. And then the ability to make smart adjustments, not just going on ChatGPT saying, "Hey, here's what I want to do. What should I eat?" Sure, that may help. That may give you a good starting place. And there are people that will see progress from doing that. But more than that, how can you make small adjustments week to week and little by little to make progress to where you want to go? And then the last thing being the accountability side of things. Accountability is super huge. And with that, that's really where my role comes in as a coach, as somebody who is helping him get the progress and the results that he wants. That's where I come into play. Again, you can go online and figure out, hey, Chat GPT, what should I do for this or this? And you will get some results doing that. That is going to be a good starting place. However, these guys that I'm working with, they don't want just a good starting place. They want real results, real progress, and helping them stay accountable. That's so many times that is the number one thing that I see and that I hear from guys is hey, I know what to do. I just can't keep doing it. And so that's where I come into play is helping these men get the systems, get the accountability, and get the consistency into place to be able to really make that progress. So if you are looking to make that progress, that same progress, or maybe a different goal, I'm going to put down in the description of this video my link to apply for one-on-one coaching. And then there's also a free 7-day blueprint. If you aren't to that point yet, no worries. I've got a 7-day blueprint to hook you up for free with that. So be sure to check out the link in the description below. And that is what I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, comment any questions that you have, and we will see you guys in the next one.